I haven't done one of these for a while. I'm going to go and do some work on the Troopcarrier. Well, actually going to go and collect some parts. And I decided to roll camera. The last time I did it, I was driving the Dream Tourer to quick pitch. Yes, short wheelbase. Yes, it helps you over, but it doesn't help you anywhere else. It only helps over very tight, you know, where you're looking for brake over angle. Otherwise, it doesn't help. Longer wheelbase is more comfortable and actually get better traction on hill climbs if your wheelbase is a little bit longer. That was 2 years ago. Over 2 years ago. I'm Andrew St Pierre White. Join me as I share my passion for building four-wheel drive trucks and travelling to the remotest parts of the world. These videos are made possible by contributions from Patreons. Join the Patreon family now. It's amazing how time has just... and the Dream Tourer in total turned out remarkably good in terms of the amount of people that actually watched the series. I have measured up to this point 3.1 million views on that series. And although that series was shorter than I expected it to be, I still got the numbers. I still got lots and lots of numbers. And occasional comment comes up, you know, what's happened to it. That's from people that are not really following the channel. They're just dipping in now and again. And I actually made a video about the fact that I decided that it wasn't so much the Dream Tourer that didn't satisfy me. It was the fact that it was so big. I like compact, I like small, I like efficient. That is the third ute pickup that I've owned. I will never buy another one. Well, I say never. You know, utes don't do it for me. They just don't do it for me. And I just have this, I just feel that whenever I bought one, if I look back at my history of four-wheel drives and things like that, never kept the utes very long. They don't. And I tried really hard with the Dream Tourer, and as a vehicle, if I think about it, it looked very heavy it wasn't heavy it looked it. The Tommy camper had this big extension out of the back, which actually made getting in and out of it so much easier than the earlier models that didn't have it, because they just tilted the back door entrance. They just tilted it. It was very effective, but it made the back look extremely heavy. It actually drove extremely well, but it didn't, as I said in the video. And I'm pleased to say that there weren't a lot of people on YouTube that really had a go at me for you know, not keeping it. Some did, judgmental types, but it doesn't, you know, as far, the way I look at life is quite short, and you have an opportunity to do something, you know, it's worth getting it right. It's worth it. It's worth putting in the effort to get it right, to get the satisfaction. I didn't have it. I didn't have it with that. And so I ordered the Troopcarrier, but little did I know when I ordered the Troopcarrier it would take 7 months to get here. And because it's, you know, 7 months later, I've been not doing any major trips at all with the Dream Tourer. I sold the camper first, which means that the ute on its own wasn't terribly useful to me in terms of a tourer. And I've started the new Troopy, not because the previous Troopy was anything wrong with it. It was everything right about it. And I didn't keep it purely because I wanted to try something else, and this is what I do for a living. I do this for a living. I buy vehicles, I build them, I showcase them, I travel with them, and then I sell them, and I do it for a living. So if you know, my critics will say you never keep a long vehicle very long. It's my living. It's not because I don't like them. In terms of the Dream Tour, I was honest. Which means my decision to part with the Dream Tour sooner than I thought I would will no doubt be criticised by people who think they speak for me. And being honest on YouTube is dangerous. People wishing me well have pointed out that I tend to wear my heart on my sleeve. Perhaps I'm over-honest. So here I go again. Because there are a lot of judgmental people out there that just love to make themselves feel better by making content creators feel worse. The Aussie Dream Tourer is not all I hoped it would be. And while it's been a fantastic experience learning from it, working with some wonderful people, and in many ways has fulfilled its purpose, doesn't give me a fizz, a buzz, that unspoken thing that car lovers love about their cars. So now with the new Troopy, I've already got a dilemma. I've already got a little, right now, just released last week the video about the wheels and tyres, and Patreons received this morning a video about the colour choice. Nice little video that Gun and I made. It'll be public within the next week. And it was fun making that video, and we're going to have the vehicle wrapped, and it's a gorgeous colour. We're going to wrap it into that video. Is coming up. But I already even now have a dilemma about the wheels and tyres. Not so much about the tyres, about the rims. Now I've had to take the rims off because I have had the rear axle widened. The narrower rear axle on Land Cruisers is an issue well known to Land Cruiser 70 series owners, and there is an easy fix. Not particularly cheap, but it's an easy fix. It's a 25mm each side. It's a proper engineered conversion called True Tracker. Really professionally done. It's made by Multi-Drive in Victoria, and it is a conversion that can be done by anybody. It does mean that it has to be signed off by has to have an engineering certificate, but it corrects the axle width issue, and I will do a separate video on the axle width issue. I've had a lot of experience of driving these Land Cruisers with and without, and I think I've got a fairly sensible way of looking at it. And also axle corrections and axle modifications of Land Cruisers as a whole. I'm in a bad traffic jam here. They're doing roadworks and to widen this highway, but while they're doing these roadworks, it slowed the traffic down on this stretch a lot. And being Friday, it's always bad on a Friday. Anyway, I'm collecting stuff for the weekend so I can do some work on the car during the weekend. And so the tyres that I had fitted, the two 65/75s, which are, as I have said, a little wider than I would like, were sticking out so much at the back because with this car is designed for and legal with skinnies on the narrower track rear axle. The moment you widen the axle, you have to put some kind of wheel arch on, which I'm going to do, but I don't have them yet. They're on order. I should have them reasonably soon, but until then I've actually had to put the old skinnies back so that I can drive it legally. Otherwise I'll get pulled over. I'll get a ticket because the rear wheels stick out. Even now they stick out a tiny bit. I mean, not that you would really notice, but with the 265s, they stuck out a lot. They stuck out really a lot, so I had to change that. So what I'm collecting now is suspensions, but just springs. An interesting story about, I'm trying something different. I think that, excuse me, I'm just getting a little bit thirsty. See my new, this is another video that's about to come out soon. Haha, I've got these armrests. I've finished building the doors. So after the colour video will be a video on building these doors. I've rebuilt the doors. They're beautiful. Nice armrest. You probably can't see it. So I'm collecting a set of springs. I'm going for a different approach to springs, and the reason for that is that my Dream Tourer was oversprung. Even when it was full, it was oversprung. Not by a lot, but it was oversprung, which actually just demonstrates it had a 3995 GVM and was oversprung. My Troopcarrier was not oversprung, my previous Troopcarrier, and that was at no GVM upgrade. It was not oversprung. And I think that a lot of 4x4 equipment stores, when they spec springs, there is a tendency for them to overspring the setup. And I've driven so-called upgrades, spring upgrades, and all it's done is ruin the ride, because it's actually been set up to carry far more weight than is necessary. So the ride is horrible. Even when the vehicle is fully laden, the ride's horrible. I was chatting to Yucky from Quick Pitch, and he's an ex-rally driver, an extremely successful rally driver. But not only a driver, he used to build his own cars. He was one of South Africa's most successful privateers. Did extremely well in the rally circuits against big makes, big sponsorship, Toyotas, Fords, etc. He did very, very well, and so he's built rally cars. And he was saying to me that, you know, because I was boasting to him, I said the springs on, you know, the suspension setup on my previous Troopcarrier, even when I was maximum load, it did sag a bit at the back. And YouTubers, being that they would say, oh, it's sagging at the back, and they would point fingers. And he was saying to me, you probably got it just about right. Because if a spring only uses a short amount of stroke on the shock absorber, it means it's underusing the shock absorber. You're relying too much on the springs and too little on the shock absorber in terms of the pliance of the spring. So the spring doesn't move that much because it's oversprung, and because it doesn't move that much, the shock absorber doesn't work very hard. But the ride is very hard. So for a pliant ride, you actually, I said to him, I'm crossing the Simpson Desert in my Troopcarrier, never bottomed once, even when I thought, when you hit these sand ridges or these pockets, and you suddenly think, oh, you realise, oh, I'm a bit fast for this, and the vehicle goes through these yumps and goes boom. And I said to him, amazingly, I was using ARB BP51 shocks, which I am going to fit to this because I think they're outstanding. And I never bottomed. And sometimes I thought, whoa, here comes a big one. Never bottomed, which is good, which is very good. He said to me, if you had occasionally bottomed, just occasionally on the worst ones, you would then know that you're probably using all of your shock absorbers, and so therefore you could potentially get the ride even better, potentially. So I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that. Let me specify some springs. Now I'm going to be putting on Terrain Tamer parabolic springs and on the back, and smart springs, they're variable rate coil springs on the front. And they specified a particular spring set. I told them what I was doing, and I thought, I actually sent them an email and I said, would you indulge me? I'd like to do an experiment. Forgive me if I repeat this, which I probably will when I'm doing the fitting of the suspension. I might repeat this, so forgive me, but this is I'm just driving, so I'm talking to you. to test. I wanted to test. I said, would you indulge me and allow me to experiment with a much lighter spring than you would normally have specified for what I'm doing? And I'll give you the specifications later. When I actually fit them, I will tell you what my specifications are. But my idea is, okay, I have got a very good shock absorber that can cope with a big bore shock. It can cope with a lot of work. That's what it's designed for. Let's get the shock absorbers working even harder by underspringing the vehicle a bit. I don't want to overspring the vehicle. I want to find out where that is. Where is it where my vehicle is undersprung? And you do not measure it because the vehicle is sagging a bit at the back. That's not the way to measure it. When a vehicle is fully laden and it's got a bit of a sag at the back, that's okay. Really, it's okay. It might not look okay, but I'm not going for looks. I'm going for performance. And my Troopcarrier before used to sag a little bit at the back at maximum load, and that suspension worked brilliantly. But I want to go parabolic because that should give me an even more pliant ride where the vehicle is unloaded and fully laden. Smart springs, so that's why I'm not going to go for the ARB springing this side. I want to try this new one, and I'll give you all the specifications when I fit the springs, which will be probably in the next month. But I won't really be able to test them probably until at least 6 months time, when I start doing some trips, because when I'm on the trips the roads are rough and I'm fully laden, and only then will I be able to. But I'll be able to get an idea before then. I'm not going to go and do a major trip without knowing that the suspension is going to work. So I'm off now to collect that from Terrain Tamer. The other thing I'm getting from them, they've got some very nice kits for. There's a catch can kit. I'll show you how to fit it. It's a complete kit. You can fit yourself really easily. I'm going to be fitting that. There's quite a nice little gasket thing that they make for the air cleaner. The Toyota's air cleaner design, not particularly good. Can be improved. So this is just a little gasket that fits in there, and it sorts out in extreme dusty conditions. I had it with mine. Actually, I had a problem with the air sensor in the inlet manifold picked up dust and gave me a warning on the dashboard. It prevents that kind of thing, and that is not that uncommon. The airbox, this airbox in the Land Cruiser, not particularly good, but it's fine. It's a good size because the element lasts a good amount of time, but the actual way it's designed, it's not particularly good. What else from them? I've been chatting to them about doing an upgrade on the brakes. Now, it comes with, in Australia, this car comes with discs front and back, and they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them, really. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them. When the vehicle is very heavy, it would be nice to have a little bit more braking power. You know, it's not over-engineered. It's not over-engineered in the brake department. I wouldn't say it's under-engineered either. In Africa, they still get these vehicles with drums, and they are really bad. Really not good at all. And there, I would say, an upgrade. And I did it on my first Troopcarrier, but I just upgraded the front discs, and actually made an overall difference, quite a significant overall difference. So I will be doing something on this, but I'm not going to do it straight away. I might do that as part of phase 2, but I've been chatting to them. They've got some really nice products, and they've got some new ones coming up, and they said, hey, we'd love to work with you. Can you wait a bit? We've got some new ones coming out. I'm fine with that. So I think they're going to give me some brake stuff now, but I'm just going to store it for later because it's not complete. and they've offered me, and it's another shortcoming of the V8. It has an alternator located quite low down, and it's not a great place for an alternator. And if you drive in very, very deep and gluttonous mud, they're known to fail because of it. And so it's one of the weaknesses of the V8. It doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, but there are a few, and that's one of them. And location of its alternator is not ideal for an off-road vehicle at all. It's a air-cooled, sealed alternator. It pulls in air via the air box, so the air that has to pass through the air filter to cool the alternator. So the alternator is getting clean air, and there's a exhaust out the top in the engine bay. So it actually the air, so it's, and it's a small upgrade. It's about a 30 amp hour upgrade. Not a huge amount, but it is an upgrade. So I'm fitting one of those, and I'm hoping I'm going to be able to fit it myself. I am reasonably good with mechanics, machinery and mechanics, but I'm not an expert. It's not something that I'm really comfortable with tackling. I will do some stuff. I'm not a dunce, but I'm not an advanced mechanic. I was once, when I owned my Range Rover, in those early days. I knew that vehicle backwards. Even when I owned my Land Rover 110, it was also a V8. But of course the engines were far less complicated than these common rail diesels. So they were easy to maintain, easy to diagnose issues, and they for me were extremely successful overland touring vehicles. Very, very successful indeed. And with the modern world, I guess you've got to cope with more but they are more reliable. They are more reliable. These modern cars are more reliable, but they're far more difficult to fix. So, if I had a significant problem with this diesel engine and I was out in the bush, I could cope with basics: fuel starvation, dirty fuel or fuel contamination. I could deal with it. Much more than that? No. But then again, who could without special tools? If I had a problem with the injector pump, I don't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do. It's not like the old injector pumps. I wouldn't know. They are self-bleeding, so if you do lose fuel in the fuel system, you can bleed it by hand. You don't have to do a full injector bleeding process and stuff like that. So yeah, and I'm doing a lot more of this vehicle myself than on my previous vehicles. And I had a great chat yesterday with Heiner about the electrics, and I had made up some decisions, and then I actually thought, I'm not so sure. So the great part about it is that I'm in no rush to finish the build. I'm going to share it all with you, every last little bit of it, because I'm having fun sharing it, fun experimenting. And I decided to call the series the best two-person overland vehicle in the world. And the reason why I did that, on my website, Autograph Overland, where I build troop carriers for clients, very small number, very limited number, and that's what I call the troop carriers that I build. So there you go, all in the back. Gonna have some fun this weekend. Hope you join me. I will be doing work on the engine. I'll have a video about work on the engine, and I'm not doing a lot of work on the engine. I'm not, at this stage, I have no intention of chipping it or anything like that. that with you when I start doing the work, but the stuff I've got will allow me to get going with that, so I'll be doing that. I'll be doing videos also on choosing all the electrical pieces. Again, there's so many options available, so many options, and I want to do something that is really effective. It's not a basic system, but it's also not it's what I need. It's what will serve me well. The question is, well, what will serve me well? For example, am I going to, one part of me wants to do it, another part of me is saying, no, don't do it. Induction cooking. Does induction cooking save weight? Does it? The cooker plates are lighter. You don't have to carry gas, but you do need a bigger inverter and potentially a bigger battery bank too, depending on the cycling rates, how long in any one place. So potentially, then you're probably going to want to be able to recover the current quicker, because it's not just about how much current you take out of the battery, it's also about how quickly can you put the current back into the battery, and by what means. I want to experiment with induction cooking. I want to experiment with it because I want to experiment with it. I don't necessarily want to do it as a long-term solution to overlanding. I don't know, is it? The only way I can know and find out and experiment and play and have fun and learn is to do it. It's the only way. Is it worth it? On the outside, it depends on how efficient the induction cookers are in terms of how much current they use, how much energy do they use, and how easy is it to put back. Bottom line. And is it heavier? Is it more convenient? Is it more costly? You know, an induction burner is probably even cheaper than a fairly good quality gas cooker. I want to do the experiment because I don't know, and I've read stuff, yes and no, and this and that, and it's fantastic. Do it, so I will. I'll do it myself. I will do induction cooking. I'll experiment with it, which means, and here's the thing, I will have to equip this vehicle with equipment sufficient for induction cooking, even if I don't leave it in the vehicle as a final solution to my camp cooking needs. If I decide, no, it's ridiculous, I don't know, it's not for me because of X, Y, and Z, I'll share that with you, and I've got a lovely little, I've got a steel partner camp cooker stove. It's beautiful, love it, it's one of my favourite to kit. Messy, it's awkward a bit awkward to set up. I don't really mind that, but difficult to clean. Quite bulky. Not particularly heavy. Got to carry gas. Can be quite heavy. It's going to be fun. It is definitely going to be a lot of fun. So I'm going to wrap this up now. This is the first sunny day we have had in Perth. We've had the wettest winter by far since I arrived in Australia. I arrived in the summer of 2000 and right at the end of 2016 is when I moved to Australia. And up to this point, these winters have been pretty mild. This winter, rain, and they tell me, well, I've read in articles that in fact this is not as a result of climate change, that in fact Perth used to be like this. It used to have very rainy, quite long, rainy and cold winters. And this is the first one that I have endured. I don't mind it. But right now, middle of August, it's getting a bit long in the tooth. Time now for some nice weather. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the little chat we've had as we've been travelling around this morning. Lots more videos to come in the series building this vehicle. Hope you'll join me. And subscribe, and if you like the video, click the like button. What have you got to lose?
Thank you so much for watching. These videos are made possible by contributions from Patreons. Join our Patreon family now.